Hey everyone, this is a video focusing on the evidence portion of our writing. So the evidence is a component of the MELCon paragraph writing process. We've already covered main idea, also known as topic sentence, and then the next thing in line is evidence. So this is the support for your main idea, and we will be covering links and concluding sentence later on. So once we put all these pieces together, we're going to be able to write complete paragraphs that have a main idea and then examples that show support, explanation of that support and how it proves you're right, and then a concluding sentence before you move on. So we're getting there. As far as MELCon goes, once again, main idea, evidence, link, conclusion. So you can see the acronym MELCon, MELCon. We're getting there. It's a bit of a lengthy process, but once you get it, it's going to make organized writing much easier for you, and it's going to make your writing so much more persuasive and deep. It's really going to be quite the accomplishment once you get all this finished. So we've already talked about main idea. That is checked off the list. If you need to go back and look at the slides or the video about main idea at any point, please do. So now we were talking about the E of MELCon, the evidence. So your main idea, you have one, and then someone says, prove it. This is where you get that chance, all right? You are using examples, quotations, which we'll talk about later. That is usually what we do when we're writing about literature. You're going to be using quotes or someone else's words and work to prove that your main idea is right. But you may also use facts or reasons. Those often go with other topics, maybe not about literature, but also important. You need transitions to move between ideas, so people often complain about choppy writing. These transitions are going to help smooth out your writing and make everything seem more connected. We're going to talk about context, which is what you give before your quote. It's basically some background information. Think who, what, when, where, why. Oftentimes, people will give evidence, particularly quotes, without context, and they really don't make sense. And if your evidence doesn't make sense because the people don't have enough information to fully understand it, it's not going to help prove your main idea right. So this is very important. But yeah, the main goal, we're supporting the main idea. We're staying on that topic and driving it home. And then a little teaser for working with literature and quotations in the future. You often want to work on introducing the title and the author in your evidence so people are knowing where things are coming from. So there are different ways to go about giving evidence, but one way that works really well is using a transition word or phrase, a comma, because this is going to be some sort of fragment. It's not going to be a complete sentence all on its own. It might be one or a few words, but it's not enough to make a complete sentence. So if we add this comma to this word or phrase and connect it with your evidence, which is a fact, some sort of proof, a quote, whatever it may be, that helps prove the main idea, that is an excellent way to be looking at evidence, okay? So once again, not the only way, but an effective way. Transition phrases. So if we're going to use them, we should probably know why. The purpose of these is to signal that you're switching gears to a new topic, a new piece of evidence. This is basically a place where you're starting to explain why you're breaking away from that main idea and you're bringing in some new information. This will increase the flow of your writing and it'll make everything seem more connected. You're avoiding the choppiness, and these simple phrases or words are going to help you make clearer writing. So how are we using these phrases? Remember, transition phrases are almost always incomplete clauses or fragments. That means that by itself, it is not a complete sentence. So transition phrases need to be added onto other sentences. You're making a compound, putting two things together. So to connect a transition phrase to a sentence, you could use a comma, like you see here. Not the only way, but a way that is very effective, okay? So there are other ways, but this is just one way that could be very beneficial for you. And remember, these transition phrases are going at the beginning of our evidence sentences. I know you might be wondering, what are some of these phrases? And here is a very incomplete list. As a result, for example, for instance, on one hand, on the other hand, so, next, then, the list goes on and on. If you need to pause so you can get a better look at all of the ones that are listed, please do. But this isn't even a drop in the bucket. There are thousands of transition words or phrases. And notice, some of them are a few words long, like along those same lines. Others are a word. So, next, then. There are so many ones that you can pick from, okay? So don't feel like you have to use the same 2 or 3 every time you write. There are plenty to choose from. That being said, there are differences in transition phrases, okay? Basically, like Morpheus says over here, not all transition words mean the same thing. They're not all created equal, okay? So, for example, if you've used 6 or 7 pieces of evidence and you're on your 7th piece of evidence, you shouldn't be saying first as your transition, because that's not the first thing, right? Same thing goes for if you're writing the first couple of evidences in a MELCon or in a paper. If this is your first evidence and you write in the end, that doesn't make any sense. Same with next. There has to be something before that before you get to these. So be sure to pick a transition word or phrase that fits the area of your writing, where you're at, beginning, middle, end, whatever it may be. So, evidence. Now that you can use a transition to move from your main idea to a piece of evidence, or from one evidence to another, let's focus on how to prove ourselves right, the whole purpose of our evidence. Evidence can be facts, but they can also be quotes, like we've talked about. Quotes occur when you use someone else's words or writing. This is the best kind of evidence because it can be taken from a reliable source. Using sources show that other people agree with your main idea. You're getting proof from others, okay? We are going to work with quotes in the very near future in a video similar to this, but for now, we're going to work on using facts or ideas that we create on our own to help prove main ideas. And the reason for that is to just get a simpler understanding of how evidence works in writing. So we'll get to quotes, but for now, we're just using facts and ideas. So we are going to be looking at a series of questions. I'll read the question to you. The main idea is given. So last time you had a main idea that you needed to create on your own based off a question. So this time you're getting a question, and then you're already being given a main idea to answer that question. Your job now is to provide evidence here to support this main idea here, okay? So you're thinking of 2 facts or reasons why this main idea is true, why this main idea correctly answers this question. That being said, I'm going to ask you to be pausing this video to write down or type in a doc, what you can handwrite or type, whichever is easiest. But I want you to be writing 2 examples of facts or reasons to prove why this main idea is correct. Before you do that, let's walk through it together. So the question, is college the best option for teens after they finish high school? Why or why not? The answer, or the main idea, is we have that topic, verb, position, reason from last time. Topic, we're rewording the question. College is not always the best option for teens after they finish high school. So we had our topic and then also a verb right here, intertwined. We are getting our reason as well, not, and then, our position, not, it's not the best option all the time, and then our reason, because. and then you were telling me why. Many teens need to make money right away and also may not be able to afford high college costs. So these are some reasons for our main idea. So we need to find some evidence to support this reason, this position that we've given to this question. Go ahead and pause this video, write down your answers, and then click play when you are ready to hear some feedback. Okay, so we're going to look at the answer now. So we have our same question, our same main idea, and now we have two examples of evidence. So for our first one, for instance, we have a transition, for instance, with a comma to connect this incomplete sentence with a complete sentence. Some teens have to help their parents run the household and need to provide money to take care of their siblings. This connects to the reasoning of teens need to make some money. College isn't the best option always because teens need to make money right away. You can see that connection there. This helps prove why this is right. Another example is in connection with that idea, so another transition followed by a comma to connect this incomplete clause with a complete sentence. College is also so expensive that if teens do not receive money from parents, it is hard to go to school right away. So that ties into it's not always the best option because of the high college costs. Please note, if you didn't say these two things, that does not mean that you're wrong. There are so many more other good pieces of evidence to use. You are not limited at all. These are just two examples. As long as you can explain why, there are thousands of good pieces of evidence for really any main idea sentence. So let's get another one. The question, which food is best? Cheeseburgers or pizza? The answer in the main idea, once again, it has a topic, verb, position, and reason. Pizza is better than cheeseburgers because there are lots of different toppings or varieties to choose from, and there are also many more companies that make them too. I'm going to ask you to pause this video, write down two pieces of evidence that support this main idea. Click play when you're ready to come back and get some feedback. All right, now we're going to take a look at some possible answers. So, once again, same question, same main idea, but now we have some examples of some evidence that would work with those. First, so this transition is just a single word, once again followed by a comma to connect it to the sentence. Pizzas can have vegetarian toppings like peppers and mushrooms, but also meat toppings like pepperoni or sausage. This ties into the variety that we have up here as to why pizza is better than cheeseburgers. Another example also, so once again, a one-sentence transition word with a comma to connect it to the evidence that we have here. Also, different companies make different styles, like Giordano's makes deep dish and Harris makes Quad City style. So we're seeing a variety of companies here, so that ties in both with this part and this part to prove that pizza is better than cheeseburgers. Again, there's a ton of different pieces of evidence that could have been used to support this. As long as you explain why that evidence is working, you should be good to go. Another one, what should we do for lunch today? I have a lot of food stuff going on here. Main idea, we should go to Adolph's for lunch today because they're a small business and also make amazing food. So pause the video, create two pieces of evidence to support this main idea, and then when you're done, click play. So now that you are back for some feedback, let's take a look. Same question, same main idea. Now we're looking at our evidence. So our transition followed by a comma. Small businesses need our money or there will only be large chains that limit our options. So this ties into the small business portion of why Adolph's is the best option for lunch today. Along those lines, a transition phrase instead of a word followed by a comma. Adolph's makes great food and has tons of good options to choose from depending on what you want. So that ties into the great food part as to why Adolph's is the best option here. Again, Tons of pieces of evidence to choose from. These are just 2 that I came up with. So to wrap up, tie things together, evidence comes after the main idea. Oftentimes when you're writing, you will use more than one piece of evidence to provide even more support for that main idea and why it's correct. The evidence supports the claim or the position part of the main idea. So it supports the answer part of the main idea. It also proves the point you are trying to make. Start your evidence with a transition phrase to show that you are introducing something new. This also adds to the clarity and makes your writing very smooth compared to the choppiness that we deal with sometimes. So transition phrases can, although they're small, make a big difference. And then evidence will often be quotes when we are writing about literature. You will learn about that very soon. Thanks for watching. Reference this video whenever you're struggling with evidence or you need to think about it. Maybe you're writing evidence and you need to go back and look at certain parts. This video is available for you whenever you need it.